All right, other news before we get to Richard. Arkansas was ranked 13th in the power rankings according to 24/7 Sports, only beating out Vandy. So as we bring in Richard Davenport here on the Morning Rush. Richard, I know it probably wasn't a surprise to you to see that Rakeem Boyd was the only Arkansas player listed on the All-SEC teams. Make a case for another guy or two that should have at least been considered for the media All-SEC teams.
Oh, man, you're making it hard on me. Yeah, definitely Burks. I would agree there. I'll put a dark horse in there, Ricky Stromberg. I'll put him That's in there. Man. But I understand that. I understand why it was just Rakeem. I get that, but I think at the end of the season there could be some guys that get in that in the 1 through 3 third team. But I think Stromberg could be one of those guys. I think Julius Coates could. Now I understand why he wasn't a preseason because nobody really knows about him. That would probably be the guys. I think Bo Limmer has a possibility of being a 13 guy. That's and I would go with Monteric too. He played pretty good last year, but and maybe Jerry Jacobs.
I think people are excited to see what the former Arkansas State Red Wolf can do in the secondary. That's definitely one that might be flying under the radar. Richard got a text in here from Scott in Ashflat earlier this morning. He's asking you, hey, how are the Hogs going to finish out this 2021 recruiting class? Started strong, 19 commits to this point. What are they looking at as far as finishing out the rest of this recruiting class, Richard?
I think you'll probably see another DB, another offensive lineman. Then best available if there's a guy that they really really like at a position that it appears that they're finished with. I think that would be a possibility. It's just I always use my favorite word. It's fluid. I think sometimes when you go through the season and where you think that you're strong and you may not be as strong as you thought because of certain guys didn't play as well, you may change your consideration about adding to that position. If you thought before the season that you were good there, I think you always keep one or two open, maybe for a transfer or two.
Richard Davenport with us here on the Morning Rush. Richard, as we continue on with this recruiting stuff, how important is it going to be first game for Arkansas, just from an appearance standpoint, to at least show and give Georgia some fight?
Yeah, I think it's fairly important, but also there's some intangibles there. I mean, who shows up on Saturday? Who's the most impacted on Saturday, Georgia or Arkansas? As far as obviously what's going on right now with the virus, who's missing? If Arkansas is the vast majority of starters show up on the field on Saturday, and Georgia's missing a few guys, and Arkansas has a good showing. And I'll be honest with you, if I think Arkansas is at full strength on Saturday and they lay an egg, I'll be surprised. I really will. I know it's Georgia, but I think that they'll be competitive, and if it's a blowout, I'll be the first one to tell you I didn't see it coming, even though I understand why people would predict that.
Yeah, it's just going to be so different because, I mean, I don't know how many fans pay attention to it, but I know you specifically pay attention to, up there on that roof line, they got the catering set up where the recruits are hosted. None of that this year. And, the fan, the environment's going to be so much different this year. Recruits watching from home, it's going to have to jump through the TV at you, and that's going to be harder to do with the atmosphere diminished with the limited amount of tickets. It's certainly, I guess, a good thing that you're at 19 commitments at this point because it's just so much more difficult to translate your product through the TV this year.
Yeah, man, that is definitely the one area that could be impacted if they struggle all year. I think that could create some doubt among recruits, but at the same time, it's an opportunity to give them hope. And same with the fans. For if they show well and win some games, and you look at them and you go, they're not that far away from being pretty good next year. Yeah, you get that mentality. That's obviously a plus.
Yeah, and of the young players, and there's several redshirt freshmen and some young players, a true freshman like a Blaine Toll. Who are some of the young players you're excited to get to see have an opportunity? Some of the players that were true freshmen last year that utilized those 4 games as redshirts that you think may have an impact. Who are you excited about watching here out of the gate against Georgia? The young ones.
Kyrie Johnson made the 2 deep. The cornerback from Connecticut, who probably was the least looked at for as a prospect coming in the 2020 class. But he's a guy that when I first talked to him, I was blown away by just him as a person. He's got good size. His athleticism is very good for the cornerback position, but his maturity is, I think, the thing that's just always stood out to me. And the first time I talked to him, I thought, wherever this kid goes, he's going to be a leader of that particular team at some point. And I think when Arkansas fans see this guy and get to know him a little bit more, they'll see a guy that by his junior year will probably be a team captain. But I think he's a guy I definitely am looking to see. And then Blaine Toll obviously is one of the 2 tight ends listed, who's probably one of the most physically ready college players coming out of high school I've seen in a while. And I say that because we've hit on this before. As a 16-year-old, he bench pressed 410 pounds, which is unbelievable considering that he's 6'5", 6'6", with all that length. And he ran like a 4.81 at a Dallas combine that I was at, and that was a laser, so that's equivalent to about a 4.6, and he was weighing probably about 240 pounds. So he's there, and that's why he's on the 2 deep.
Jeez Louise, those are some numbers right there. And he's Richard. He's like a Julius Coates. He's like some of the other guys on this team that it's just like walk off the bus intimidating, right? Like he's one of those guys. Even as a true freshman, you're like, wow, this guy's got it all put together as far as that goes.
Yeah, he definitely passes the eye test, and it's going to be very important at that tight end position to have somebody that can block, and evidently that's an area that they have concern, and that's why they moved Marcus Henderson, the freshman, and he's another one of the freshmen that I'd be excited to see. I think it could be very, very funny to see him being a 300-pounder going out for a pass, because I'm sure that they have some situations where they throw it to him, because you just can't have a blocking tight end that's there only for blocking all the time, because it just gives you away. But as far as your plays, but he's another guy that I would be excited to see.
Richard, before we go, I want to bring up some high school football this week. Anyone that's a fan of high school football, and many of us are around the state, is probably paying attention to a lot of the headlines. Seems like it's doubled or tripled the number of games this week. I think there was only 4, and there's probably more than a dozen at this point, games that have been ruled a no contest and called off, and teams are scrambling to find new opponents with schools being unable to play this week. It's what's your take, and where do you think we're headed with high school football right now with many schools struggling to be able to get on the field this week?
Tom, that'd be a good question to ask you. I don't know about when these teams cancel and they pick up an opponent. Somebody picks an opponent up a day or two before the game. I wonder if the coaches agree that they'll play a pretty much of a base defense and not because you don't have much time to scout. You don't have much time to really practice against that team. So I would, and I haven't asked any coaches yet, but I would think that there would be some kind of an agreement that, okay, we'll just run this and you guys just run that. And keep it simple and no blitzing or whatever. I don't know, but to pick up a team a day or two before, a game, and you haven't even scouted that team. I mean, that is just that's insane. But that's just where we are right now.
I guess with Huddle and film services out there, at least you can watch some games on teams. But you're right. I mean, it's a quick turnaround to get ready for a game, and we're just seeing more and more of this. So hopefully things will improve the next few weeks for the high schools around the state.
Well, and it may emphasize to the kids to be careful and I know you're asking a lot of them, not to go out with their friends on a Friday or Saturday night after, Friday night after a game or Saturday night or something like that. But if you continue to see games canceled and that's the maybe one of the reasons, maybe the kids will have to alter their behavior, but that's asking a lot for a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Richard, as always, buddy, we appreciate your time this morning on Thursday, on a Recruiting Thursday. We'll talk next week. Are you going to the game this weekend?
No, I think Tom's the only one from our organization that'll be there. And so what about you guys? How are you guys impacted for that?
Phil is going. Tommy and Jenkins are going to stay here. I will not be going to the game, but I think we'll just divvy it out based on who wants to go is how we're going to do it. So, but yeah. Well, enjoyed in Little Rock then, my man.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say one thing. I want to give a shout-out to Alex Orsini. I know he's listening right now. He loves the show, and he's not listening because of me. He's listening because of you guys.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, Alex, appreciate you being a dedicated listener, my man.
RD, we'll talk to you next Thursday.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thanks.